Hello, my name is MooingCat and welcome to the beta server where the Space Age Titan has just been released. After months of waiting and delays, it's finally here. So in this video, I will go through the announcement, see what's what. I'll also talk a little bit more in detail about the new great buildings, which are all looking very interesting, quite good. And I'll also quickly look at which buildings has gotten an increase in some values like attack boost and so on. But in the future, in a couple of days or a week or two, I will have a more detailed video where I will actually show more of the age, how fighting is and all of that. But yeah, that'll be for the future. Right now, I'll go through the announcement. And if you want to skip ahead to a specific section, the great buildings, for example, you can use the timestamps in the description. All right, so let's start with this overview here. You, of course, get a new colony on Titan. And as usual, when you move up, you will lose the old one. There are 60 main storyline quests. Sadly, those really aren't that interesting anymore. I feel like after the Arctic or Oceanic future, they have been kind of boring. Anyways, you have some side quests. You have 15 recurring quests, which I think is a slight increase over the previous age. But I did hear, haven't confirmed it, but I did hear that there were no fighting quests anymore among these quests. So by the sounds of it, these have been changed, and that's definitely something I'll get back to in a future video when I know what all of these recurring quests are. But for now, looks like there will be some changes there. We get some new avatars if you care about that. 16 new expansions, which is quite a lot, but 12 of those are diamond expansions, which, well, to be expected, I suppose. We have 2 tech tree expansions, which is that one more than last time around. Anyways, you get 2 there, you get 1 from the continent map, and you get 1 new medal expansion. So 4 expansions for free and 12 for diamonds. Don't know exactly what the diamond cost is, but I do believe the last one that we have right now is 2,600 diamonds. So probably my guess would be starting around there, 2008 perhaps, and then probably going up 1 or 2, perhaps 3 times as you build more and more of these. Anyways, we have 30 new technologies. And I did have a quick look at the upgrade cost. I'll get back to these later on as well, but it's looking like around 10,000, 12,000 each of the Space Age Titan goods. When it comes to the special good in lower ages, it was around 5,000 Space Age Jupiter Moon special goods, and then I think it was 2,500 of the one below and so on. So you don't actually need that many of the special goods of the previous ages, at least for now. That can definitely change. We have some new buildings, 2 residential buildings, I believe for each of these, so residential, workshop, culture. I think 1 is premium and 1 is regular. 5 new military buildings, and we'll have a quick look at the units later on. We have some new goods buildings, 6 new synthesizers for previous age, decoration, street, and of course 3 great buildings, which is definitely the most exciting thing about the update. Alright, the colony, nothing new here, works exactly the same, has a different look of course, and here we see an example of that. Personally, I think it looks quite alright. I do think I prefer some of the other Space Ages, but yeah, definitely have a cool look to it, and yeah, looks quite alright. The special good is crystallized hydrocarbons, looks something like this. Not really a lot to say, you get them the same way through the exploration sites on the continent map. And yeah, let's go to the big part, the new great buildings. So we have 3 great buildings, and despite the fact that they visually chain together, they don't actually get any chain bonuses, which is definitely a missed opportunity if you ask me. But it's at least nice that they look cool if you place them together. They are all 4x4, and they do all give attack boosts. So the Pegasus here gives attack and defense for your city defense. It also gives forge points, and at least early on it's looking like it will give 2 forge points per level, so that's quite nice. Then we have the Centaurus. This one gives attack and defense for your attacking army, and it also gives previous era goods. This isn't quite correct what's written here. We'll see that in a moment. Yeah, this one gives previous era goods. Then finally we have the Hydra. This one gives attack and defense for both your city defense and attacking army. So all 4 attack boosts. And it also gives guild goods. So those guild goods should be moved over here and this over here, and it's actually previous era goods. So all looking very interesting. And in terms of the actual stats, it's looking like they will give quite a lot. Jupiter included an example here. If we're looking at city defense boosts, the Deal Castle gives the same amount at level 100 as this new Pegasus does at level 15. The Zeus gives as much attack at level 100 as the Centaurus gives at level 19. And the Terracotta army gives as much combined attack and defense for all armies at level 100 as this new one does at level 22. So definitely a big improvement there. And projected or predicted, we're looking at like 300, 400, 500 attack boosts at level 100 for these great buildings here. So definitely a lot for the size, and definitely going to be really good buildings to get and level. Now, depending on your need, you might not want the Pegasus, but who knows? It looks like they're adding city defense to guild battlegrounds as well in the future. So I could definitely see a future where all these 3 are good buildings to have in your city. However, to level them is much more expensive than before. The regular boost in costs and so on, that's nothing new there. But in addition to what we already know, above level 10, they will require Space Age Titan goods and coins to upgrade. So what does that mean? Well, to unlock each level after level 10, you still need a full set of blueprints, but you also need to pay goods and coins. So here we have an example of the Centaurus provided by Ninja Alin on my Discord server, so thanks a lot. And here you can see that to unlock level 11, you need to pay 80 of each good and 4 million coins. If you go up to level 12, the goods requirement is now 160 each, and the coins requirement 8 million. So the goods requirement, if it increases as much as this, that's definitely going to be quite a lot of goods in the long term, which if you are a lower age player will definitely be a little bit challenging to get. Eventually you will be able to trade, but considering how valuable these goods are in these ages for people in these ages with these great buildings, I wouldn't be surprised if trading will be quite difficult, at least in the beginning, until the advanced players can stockpile on their own. But initially, I imagine a lot of the advanced players will save their goods so that they're able to level up these buildings. And also for lower age players, the coin requirements here will be quite challenging. 8 million, that is a lot in Iron Age, for example. Definitely manageable in Iron Age, but a lot. But if we consider that this one is 8 million, this will probably continue to grow and grow and grow. And I don't think it'll be that many levels before it comes unreasonable for, say, Iron Age players to actually be able to get these coins in any reasonable time frame. So while these buildings are not hard locked to the Space Age Titan, they are kind of soft locked, at least to get them highly leveled. It's going to be challenging in lower ages. The higher you get, the easier it will be, especially the coins requirement. But yeah, also the trading of these goods will probably be quite challenging. So in terms of construction costs, the Pegasus requires 2,000 of each, and the forge point requirements are 270 for level 1. I don't actually know what last age cost was, but this is the one for Pegasus at least. And Pegasus is the one that gives attack and defense for city defense, as well as forge points. Then we have the Centaurus. This one requires 2,500 of each, and the forge point required for level 1 are 350. So actually quite a big boost from the first one here. This is the one that gives attack and defense for your attacking army. And here you can see previous age goods, not the guild goods as it says in the announcement. And then we have Hydra. This one costs 3,000 each to construct, and 430 forge points for level 1. And this one is the one that gives attack and defense both for attacking army and city defense, and it also gives guild goods. All right. So that's the great buildings. They definitely look really good, but also looking quite hard to level, especially if you're not in Space Age Titan yourself, which personally I think is quite cool, quite a good idea. I think it's a good balance between rewarding players for moving up to the age, while also making it possible for lower age players to actually participate a little bit as well. So I think it's a good middle balance between that. There's been talk about, or people have wanted them to make great buildings exclusive for an age. Yeah, this is kind of going a little bit in that direction, but again, while still making it possible for people in lower ages to actually get them if they want to. But yeah, at a cost. All right. Let's quickly talk about the units. Don't really have a lot to say. I had a quick look in game, and all the stats for these buildings, all the ranges, everything about these units is exactly the same right now as Space Age Jupiter units, except for the second ability here, which makes me believe that they are placeholder values. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we see some changes in attack boost values and so on, but right now at least they have the same values as Space Age Jupiter Moon units, same ranges and everything. The only difference is the abilities. So all of them have Keen Eye. That is also the same right now at 35. That could change. But the Icebreaker here, the heavy unit, has Stealth. It has Stealth on Rebel, which sounds quite useless, considering that right now at least it has 2 range and 18 movement, which is nothing at all. So it's probably going to be just as useless as as in the previous age. The fast unit, the Permafrost Drone, is right now exactly the same as the fast unit in Space Age Jupiter Moon. Same boosts, same ranges, same ability as well. So exactly the same. The Pressurizer here, the ranged unit, it has, again, same stats, but it has Blast. Blast is the ability that allows it to ignore stealth. So that's probably going to be quite nice, but probably not that big of a deal considering the Icebreaker is the only unit with stealth, and it might not have stealth that often. So I think actually it is a downgrade compared to Last Age, where the ranged unit has contact, which I do think is better for the most part. The Overclock Orbiter here, the artillery unit, has Mortar, which is the ability that the turret and rocket troop has, where it, in addition to hitting a main unit, also damages units on the side of it, which is quite interesting, quite nice. However, considering we do have a stealth, albeit probably not a good stealth unit, but particularly a flying unit here, it might not be that great. You definitely do have to make sure you're not fighting against the permafrost drones if you're mainly relying on the orbiter. But otherwise, it might be an interesting choice to fight with. The Molecular Enforcer, the light unit, looks as bad as the last stage. It has Force Field, which is the ability that, for example, the hover tank has, where it reduces the damage It takes each time by 2, which yeah, it's definitely going to make it a little bit tankier, but it still has a very low range of 2, I believe it is. 3. It's a range of 3, which, yeah, way too low, so definitely not going to be used. The champion is 100% the same as the Space Age Jupiter Moon champion right now, so yeah, I do expect the stats to change, but just looking at the abilities, which will probably not change, I think the go-to units will probably be these two. Will be the fast and ranged unit. The artillery can be nice, but I do think it'll be easier to use the ranged and flying. I'm a big fan of 8 flying. I've been using that for the last couple of ages, just because it's easy to swap out. You only have to swap out 1 unit instead of doing both rogues and the main unit, so pressurizer. But the combos will probably be either 8 of these or 1 or 2 of these and rogues. That's probably going to be the go-to combos. Potentially it might be interesting to go with a mix, so a couple of these and a couple of these perhaps, and some rogues. That might be interesting. But yeah, we'll have to see. And in a couple of days or weeks, I do want to showcase some fighting as well to show a little bit more about how things look. Now, one final thing I want to show before I end. I have updated my sortable building table here, so I've now included Space Age Titan, so you can sort them by Space Age Titan values as well now. I do just quickly want to mention that I will, very soon, I promise, I will add a combined attack and defense for city defense. I will add that soon. It's not there quite yet, but I expect that soon. Anyways, the reason why I wanted to show this is that in this tool, if you don't know, you can compare 2 ages. So I can compare Space Age Titan to Space Age Jupiter Moon. So when I do that, the values you see in here is how much the stats increase from Space Age Jupiter Moon to Space Age Titan. So what we can do now is that we can see which buildings get an increase, for example, in attack boost. So the Bistro, Buccaneer's Bay, Cartographer's House, Deadman's Boathouse, Himalayan Furs, Katiba Candy, Legendary Lodge, Panda Reserve, Panda Shrine, Pizzeria, Skull Cave, State of Ages, Tarot Card, Ted's Chalk, Trading Post, Tree of Vitality, and Viceroy's Villa, the Governor's Villa Golden Upgrade. All of those receives 1 more attack in Space Age Titan compared to Space Age Jupiter Moon. If we're looking at defense, not as many. So we have these here: Buccaneer's Bay, Katiba Candy, Ted's Chalk, Trading Post, Tree of Vitality, Buccaneer's Boathouse, Golden Orrery, and Rhododendron Field. These are the buildings that gets more defense for attacking army. We can also see that some of these buildings get some more forge points. So that's a new thing we've seen introduced, where buildings do get more forge points in later ages. So Buccaneer's Bay, Trading Post, Rhododendron Fields, Cartographer's House, Panda Shrine, and Skull Cave all receive 1 more forge point. We see that there are some buildings here that gets additional goods as well. And you can continue comparing these. Some of them perhaps give more defense as well, or city defense. Yeah, a couple of buildings get more city defense. A few more buildings get more attack for city defense, and so on. So you can go here and look for yourself if you want to. If you set the first one here to Space Age Titan and the second one here to Space Age Jupiter Moon, you can see what values has increased. Or you can set this to none, which is by default, and now you get all the values in Space Age Titan. So if you sort by combined attack, for example, we can see that the Skull Cave is still the best. It is now 5.25, and I remember that it was 5.0 in Space Age Jupiter Moon, so that's the 1 extra attack. Alright, so I'll link this in the description along with the announcement here. And again, as I've said a couple of times, I will make a follow-up video to this in a couple of days or a couple of weeks when I've been able to play a little bit myself, record a little bit myself, or get some footage to show Yeah, hopefully show some fighting as well. But yeah, this is it for this video. Hope you found this interesting. Before I end, let me thank my Patreons for their support. I would like to thank Honsar, Lorden, Kim Kelly, Rolf the 8th, Dan Sumnad, Shanti, Hecate, Dark Matter, Maelia, Sierra K, Merrick B, Hugo Kant von Count, Drew the Journalist, Susan White, Rocco, Strakanor Remorse, Merthen Emrys, Atomic, Flagus the Avenger, Ashborn, Arkler, Nova, Jupiter, Ninja Alin, Whiskey Henrik Dara Kleber, Mattia, Nadarel, Mike, Obsidian Obsessed, Ruth, Karen, Flavius Belisarius, Dennis, Stampe, and Potter. Thanks a lot for your support. Thanks for watching. Take care. And I will see you in the future.